Why do you think these students are so afraid of this complexity?
I'm not sure, but like we talked about, the self-censorship, it's very strong in our society. So we have a political correctness, which I also have a lot of, which says that something is the right way and something is the wrong way to look at other people. And it's also a psychological thing when you write, because it's very, very important that you love your characters. If you hate your characters, then you don't write good stuff. So you have to love your character, and it's very difficult to love a character which is a mean bastard. So.
But in terms of, let's just really dig into the nuts and bolts of writing.
Okay.
When we're talking about complexity in a character, what does that mean? What is complexity?
For instance, you there can be ja, jeg må bare vente litt.
Det går bra.
I mean, complexity it's a sort of a cliché, so it's very difficult to tell what it is. But when you see the character with a complexity, you immediately recognize it, and that can be usually it's a fight between expectation and what you actually do. Your own expectation of what you should do yourself and the society's expectation. So if you have a fight between that, you usually end up with a character which is he or she does something that you don't expect. For instance, Pippi Longstocking, which is a famous character when it comes to complexity, because she does whatever what she do is she don't do what she so what we expect her to do. I mean, one very, very famous quote from Pippi is that I haven't done before, so of course I can do it. And which is very strange to say, but and it gives you immediately, this character has something which is not common, and it's you can't understand it completely, but it's very but you get immediately interested.
Let's move on to the idea of quality in work. How can a writer ensure that what they write is of the highest quality that they can master? How do you recognize whether what you've written is good or bad?
Well, that's a very difficult question. Very. I mean, writers tend to be very proud and very satisfied with what they write immediately when they have written it. And the day after, it's crap. So I think it's almost impossible to be sure about the quality. It's not exact science, this. I mean, and when it comes to play, I will say that quality, you can't tell about the quality until the play meets the audience, actually. So it, but that's very important. You have to rely on your gut feel. When I teach, I always say that this is not exact science. I'm a human being. I have my opinion on what I like and what I don't like. If it's just if it has no content at all, it's just form or just entertainment, then I have some sort of problem with it. But it can be good writing, although. So, my idea.
In terms of dramaturgy, in terms of the structure of stories,
Mm-hmm.
I think most, this is generalization of course, but I think most stories you find for young audiences will follow the Aristotelian dramaturgy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think increasingly today amongst young authors in the Nordic countries, for example, you see people who are willing to write using different structures, also aimed at the young audience. Do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, is the Aristotelian dramaturgy, is it still valid or is it old-fashioned? Is there a danger in writing outside of this form in terms of confusing a young audience? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't think you confuse young audience by writing different, but it's a little bit. I mean, the Aristotelian dramaturgy is, I think it's rather misunderstood. It's like a language. If you say that it's like English, then of course we speak English to get ourselves understood. That's the main reason so many people use English, and I think it's the same with this common way of telling a story. But it can be stretched, that it can be used in so many different ways, like the English language. You can say so much different things, and you can even speak pidgin, or like my bad English. You can express yourself in so many ways. So, and we have to remember that Aristotle didn't write his on poetry, this book, where you find these rules, which is not the rules. It's a way for the audience to understand what the writer has said or tried to say. So it's very. I've always tried when I teach to say that this dramaturgy, it's not a recipe, but you can go after when you have written. You can go after and look to amplify certain things, to organize it a little bit better. But I'm very skeptic to write and use this as a recipe, as a schema. But for the young audience, of course, like you said, 90% or 99% of every play, or well, when it comes to movies, it's like 99.9. But for instance, I have one really favorite animation artist, Miyazaki, the Japanese master. And some of his movies are rather strange when it comes to dramaturgy. Don't follow it strictly, and he uses more association dramaturgy. But when he put it together as a whole, it's a story, and you can follow the story. And that's, for me, it's very important that you follow this, that you understand the story, to follow the story, that you use your energy on other things than wondering what's happening now, and get confused. Because, like I said, I'm very, very concerned about the content, and if you have something on your mind, if you have on your heart, then it's very important that you are very strict when it comes to storytelling, that you don't confuse your audience with things that is not so important. That's me.